Hi, I'm Rachel Whitefield, certified life coach, and with me is our resident manifestation maven, Jaki Black. Thank you for joining us for another fabulous episode of Whiskey Bent
Spellbound with Black.
and Whitefield.
Yeah, Rach. Are we drinking
Mhm.
something specific or is it a free for all?
It is a free-for-all on the podcast today. It is just a grab bag, is what I like to call these. So you've got yours, I've got mine. Tell me what you are drinking today.
I am drinking classic Jack Daniels. I love their honey whiskey in a
Ooh.
whiskey ginger. It doesn't taste like a cocktail.
Ooh, I need to try that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's delicious. Honey whiskey, ginger ale. If you want to like really zhuzh it, get a little lime uh bitters, lime
Hmm.
bitters
Ooh.
or chocolate bitters. Both are great.
Mhm.
3 to 4 drops in the cup and we're good to go.
Yeah. So
Good to go.
Jack Daniels Tennessee honey is what you
What are
have.
you drinking?
I have had this in my house for a while. It is from Castle and Key Distillery. It's called Restoration, and it has like women's arms like putting the letters on the bottle, which is really
That's
nice.
cool.
So it's like female marketed is how I feel. And then it's Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey, released in 2022. And then on the back it's like bottle number, batch number, years age. It is just um
Ooh.
really cool. And it has like a little like embossed like gold thing on the bottle. And
Yeah.
it's always looked really cool. It's always intrigued me. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna finally get myself a bottle of this. And I
Yeah.
haven't been disappointed.
Not
Mm-mm.
mad about it.
No, no, it's not.
Yeah. Do we
Oh,
got special ice molds? I do.
you do. I do not. I'm just going with the freezer ice today. My life got a little out of hand this week. However, before we get into your beautiful ice molds, I did pick up new glassware though.
Ooh, hold on. Love that. I love that. It looks like a rainbow.
It's like a rainbow, but it's like Art Deco because I have a Starbucks like
Yeah,
tumbler that looks like this as well. So
it
it's
does.
a big cup too. Like it's wide.
Yeah.
So for YouTube, you could see it. It's just very Art Deco. And I was like, then because I got them at the grocery store and they were like, buy one set, get another set half off. I was like, okay. I bought a different set of two.
Oh,
I was like,
perfect.
I don't like them as much, but I was like, these ones though. They're feminine without being like
Yeah, sure.
too, you know, it's just Art
Yeah, too
Deco. It's like
girly. Uh,
very Mad Men, and it's got this like lip on the bottom too, so you can like
mhm.
stack them. They're real, and they're like hefty. They're
Heavy.
nice.
Yeah.
They look like they're crystal. It's so cool. So yeah, I like loved this new. This is gonna be my new whiskey drinking glass for quite some time to come. So especially when you come out here, we'll have the set.
I
So
love that.
yeah, I was like, you know what?
Those
Just
are
one
so
big reveal
pretty.
at a day. So no ice molds for me, but I do have my fancy sprinkles. But what do you have today?
Well, we all know that I only have the rose and diamond,
Uh-huh.
but I have 24 karat gold and amethyst on the
Oh,
diamonds.
you're
First of all,
mixing and match. Well,
there's
you know what? That's good for you because you mix and match, and I forget to do that.
I love it. And then I have rose gold and 24 karat gold in the roses. Look at that.
Ooh, I
Do
like
you
that
see
a
the
lot.
rose on the inside, the rose gold on the inside, and then the 24 karat gold
Those are nice.
luster,
Yes.
the luster powder?
The luster powder. Yes. So
Luster.
today I did bring my moonstone over for my to add to my freezer ice unceremoniously. But yeah, so it's fancy sprinkles, prism powder, moonstone iridescent today. Over
I'm
my
putting a little bit of
ice.
ginger ale in my whiskey as well,
You
just
know,
because, like I said, I
from doing
love the
going
Jack Daniels with the honey whiskey with the ginger. It's so good. It's so good.
from doing this podcast in front of my work desk. I just have like glitter kind of embedded into everything from like the poof overflow.
Yeah,
So I'm having a
I sure do.
not
I
upset
feel you
about
on
it.
that. I'm not mad.
Not
Where
mad.
I make my ice
Mhm.
is also has the luster. The luster seems to like get really in the crevasse,
It's,
you know,
and
a finer powder.
I think that's why we like it so much, because it is lighter than the glitter that tends to like sink to the bottom of the drink. So I always have like a chopstick with me or anything. But the luster powder is like lighter and airy. And so it just kind of like lingers and suspends in the glass, which is so beautiful. I don't think you can really
And
see
you
it,
can
but
see.
like, ooh, I love it so much. So yeah, I do love the good luster powder from Fancy Sprinkles. Thank you once again, Fancy Sprinkles, for making my life fabulous.
For making our cocktails fabulous.
Yeah. Girly drinking whiskey. That's what I like. All right. We have the whiskey, we have the cups, we have the ice, we have the subject today.
We
Are you
do.
ready, Jacqueline?
I'm more ready than the last time we tried to record this.
Yes, for our listeners, this is our second attempt of recording this podcast because we had significant technical difficulties last week. So sorry for Patreon for not an early post, but we are hanging in there with you. But yeah, so I think the universe was like, nope, try again. You're swinging
Get it
from, you're
together.
like shooting from the hip on this one, and we don't want that. So
We don't want that.
we went back, went to the back of the drawing board, made sure all of our technical issues are resolved, and we are ready for use take two.
Wish us luck.
Yes.
Here we go.
So
We're
today,
talking about,
yes, on the podcast, we're talking about manifestation. So what does it mean? What does it look like when you do it? I'm going to let Jackie take the lead on this one today. I'm going to ask questions because I struggle with the idea of manifestation, but I think I've secretly been doing it.
yeah, you have.
I'm going to pop in with kind of some thoughts, clarifying questions that I may have, just because it sounds to me like I believe in it, but it also sounds like a lot of like on trend buzzwords. So I'm like, what has become a little too kitschy and cliche versus like what
Right.
actually works, and it's just the language around it. So I'm gonna say, take it away, Jackie. I'm here to learn, because because I have questions doesn't mean I'm not into it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in that in that regard, clinkies. Let's get
Oh,
this shoe on the rack.
clinkies. Yes, thank you. Clinks.
Clinkies.
Have a drink. How could I forget? I have
It's so good. I
it's so
love
pretty.
Jack.
In my new
I
glass.
really love Jack Daniels. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've been a Jack Daniels girl for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the honey with the ginger.
You come
Highly.
back home.
Oh.
Yes.
So manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing about manifestation that makes people feel the way you do, especially when you come out of a church situation, you know, you've left like the church as an establishment, and a lot of people believe in prayer and all of that. It's the same thing. We are all doing it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really, really want people to take away, is that not only is it real, but you are already doing it. And if you learn how to practice it, you can learn how to harness it. So in general, manifestation is like tuning a radio to the right station.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that everything in the universe, including you, has its own energetic vibration, right?
Okay.
Like a unique frequency.
Mm-hmm.
There's a law in science called the law of attraction. And the law of attraction says that similar vibrations are attracted to each other. Okay. So when you want to manifest something like a goal or a desire, you need to align your vibration with the vibration of what you want. So think of it as matching the frequency of your thoughts and actions to the frequency of what you want to attract. When these vibrations are in harmony, it's like sending out a signal to the universe. Basically, like, this is what I want. It's the same thing as prayer. You pray to God for what you want. You pray to Allah for what you want. You pray, you meditate on what you want. This is the exact same things. When these vibrations are in harmony, it's like sending out a signal to the universe, and the universe responds by bringing you that thing. So you're bringing the vibration, you're raising your own vibration to that thing or event, and the universe is responding by matching that vibration. And the process is really just about being really positive in what you want, being focused on what you want, understanding how that thing will affect your life, and then believing that what you want is already yours. Like that's the big ticket item.
Let me, okay, so I'm gonna put it in a way that because I'm like a visual person, I kind of understand it. So I think maybe this is like 20 years ago, I heard this when we talk about matching vibrations and how that works for the betterment of something. So I had a friend that told me they're like, man, like I don't know if it's Lexus or you drive one, so maybe you could tell me if this is true or not. But they were like, oh, it's so quiet inside of that car. Like it's a very quiet car. Like, how do they make them so quiet? And that I had heard that they had kind of put like microphones in the engines because like when you talk about matching frequencies, that it'll cancel each other out and then it makes it quiet. So it's like I'm just bringing it back to the science. It's like it is true actual science of just like matching a vibration to make a good thing happen,
Right.
then elevate. So I was like, oh, okay, like there's scientific about matching vibrations and stuff. So it's just like it's not just like buzzwords and things like
It's
okay.
not buzzwords.
Mhm.
I genuinely believe it is an explanation.
Mhm.
It is the explanation that I can accept to what all of these people who are a part of major established religions believe. I can't believe what people in that are in major established religions believe.
Mhm.
I've never been able to bring myself there. It never made any sense to me because it's always like, and this is just me, it's always like that's all man-made. This
Mhm.
is all just an explanation
Mhm.
for what you don't understand.
Mhm.
What we don't know happens after death. When really the what I needed was how to live this life now, not how to live this life for death.
Mhm.
So I feel like manifestation really is just an explanation, or how I'm going to describe it, or how I'm going to explain how to do it really is just like this is what prayer does.
Mhm.
This is the power that we all have. This is what we all do, and I can bring you everybody does it in that there's been multiple moments in your life, in everybody's life, where you wanted something, you needed something, you pictured yourself getting it, you imagined yourself in that situation, and then it happened.
Mhm.
So just like I needed somewhere to move.
Mhm.
Like whenever you're looking for like a specific apartment, usually things work out so that you get the place that you want to live. You need another job. You really genuinely know usually when you're going to get the job you're going to get. You just follow the path to that, and you've imagined already that you have that job.
Mhm. Yeah. It's
It's the same idea. You can do it on a large scale, and you can do it on a small scale. But the
mhm.
fact is that everybody can do it.
Yeah, I think when we think about well, I think about our past conversations that we've had, we always earlier in the year we were like 2024 Jackie, 2024 Rachel, like what is she doing? How do I match her? So it's like you're saying like show up. If I show up as her every single day, well, what do I think that version would do? Then I will just become her. And you're like, I manifested it. So it's kind of like for an example in my life, I would always say, no, like I worked really hard for this. But
Same thing.
also it's like, yeah, so manifestation is so it almost feels like it like robs someone from the hard work that they were doing to get there. Cause it almost feels like it's just will magically happen. Or maybe that's just my interpretation of it kind of. But it's like I've told you in the past, like after when I could gather my thoughts after my divorce, I was like, what is my mountaintop? It's living alone, being financially independent, and having a job in tech that I changed my career for, that I'd have a 401k and like a very decently high paying job. And like I have all of that. And
Mhm.
you're like, yeah, you manifested that. But I was like, is that what I did? But it doesn't, not to take away like the schooling that I went to, the whole career change that I did,
Right.
like the learning in the meantime. But again, like it didn't happen overnight. And I don't want people to
Right.
think that it does happen overnight. Um,
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it
Hold on.
does. It does.
Sometimes your manifestations will happen overnight.
And these different practices I did, I had a picture of the floor plan of the apartment that I have.
You
Like
see
I
what I
wanted
mean?
it and I got it. But I was like, what is really happening and why we wanted to talk about kind of this in our life right now is like so much is happening for you,
Yeah,
right?
so much is happening
So
for
much
me
is happening. So like, I'm going to get
because
into
I've harnessed it.
yeah.
I have realized I have harnessed it and realized that I am extremely powerful in my ability to manifest what I want.
Can you just say that again?
I am extremely powerful in my ability to manifest exactly what I want.
All right. Thank you. Go on.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, I got
Like
chill.
I know I'm going to meet who I envisioned I'm going to be in December 2024. I
Hmm.
know it. So let's talk about like how do we manifest? And I'll
Yeah.
give you examples of how I've done it.
Hmm.
How about that? And
Yes.
I'll connect how you have done it unconsciously.
Yeah.
So we know that vibrations match each other. They
Mhm.
will not. It is a science. It's science. It is a law. And for listeners, a scientific law means it is proven and can be proven over and over and over and over. There is no arguing with it anymore. It is just a fact.
Yes.
So, the first thing that I do when I want something to change or I want something big is I write it down in detail from the perspective that I've already done it. And
Mm.
while I'm writing it, I think about what it's going to feel like, how it would feel for me to be in that situation. So when I was manifesting traveling at the beginning of this year, if you listen to us regularly, you know that my life coaching session, my big thing was I wanted to travel.
Hmm.
I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to use my passport. So after we had our life coaching session, I wrote an entire paragraph of what it was like to hand in descriptive detail, hand
Hmm.
my passport over to a customs agent from a different country and have them stamp it. And what it felt like to see that stamp. And I'm getting emotional now thinking about it.
Hmm.
What it would be like to see them stamp my passport with a different country's name. And I was so excited. And that might be a little thing to somebody who's used their passport multiple times, but I got my passport to do something specific and it was taken that if that opportunity was taken away from me in a very dramatic and traumatic way. So imagining myself traveling made me feel the emotions on another level. You have to feel them. If
Hmm.
they're going to make you cry, cry.
Yeah.
If they're going to make you mad, get mad. If they're going to make you exceedingly happy, feel it in your gut.
Hmm.
Picture yourself there.
I
I really love to like meditate after I write it down. What were you going to say?
I think that's actually really great because I think one thing that I personally struggle with is like, how am I going to get there? But you're already envisioning like you are there. How would it feel?
You
Instead
don't
of
need,
like it, I'm not even, how could I? It's like, no, if you're already there, how would that feel? So start imagining that, and then you're like, oh, I'm getting comfortable in the thought of I'm
yes,
successful, I am powerful, I am independent. And then it's like getting there doesn't feel so hard at that point. Like I'm
it doesn't feel
comfortable
so
in those
daunting.
feelings now. It doesn't feel icky. It just feels like it's uncomfortable because I'm not used to it. How do I be that other thing, that elevated version? And you're just like, oh, okay, I'm used to that feeling now. So it's like, you're like, oh, It's not like, oh, I'm so undeserving of it. It's like, I'm already there. So of course, like it feels like it already belongs. So it's easy to say I belong in those spaces or what have you, you know?
Yes, exactly.
That
And
makes
remember earlier, I said that manifestation is the process about being focused on what you want and believing in your gut
Mhm.
that it's not only already on its way to you, you're already living that life.
Mhm.
I like to think of time instead of linear. I like to think of it as a book with pages.
Mhm.
And so if the book is closed, I'm connected to all those pages just by little thin piece of paper.
Mhm.
I'm on page 30, but I want to be on page 60 because page 60 is December 2024. So in my head, while I'm writing, I am flipping to page 60.
Mhm.
And I already know that it's there. I already know that it's coming. I have no doubt. I don't have a single reason to doubt. It already is mine while I'm writing down exactly what I'm thinking. I do not think time is linear. I think time is happening all at once.
Mhm. And like in that analogy, you're like, the book already belongs to you. You have it all.
The book is mine. The
Yeah.
book is literally already written. That's the thing, is just I am figuring out exactly what's on the pages.
Yeah.
Right. And
You
the
get to say what's in the book.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And if our destinies are already written, don't I already know what to write?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So, second part, after you've written everything,
Mhm.
meditate on it. Well, I like to light a candle intentionally. Like I am lighting this for that person and I'm visualizing her and I'm visualizing what her schedule is and I'm visualizing the awards that maybe she's gotten or I'm visualizing how she spends her money or how she spends her time down to those minute details. And while I'm meditating, what I like to do is I like to enhance those vibrations by listening to specific frequencies. You can Google frequencies.
Mhm.
Frequencies align your brain and connect both sides of your brain to the specific vibrations that you're looking for. So I like to uh, listen to 432 hertz.
Mhm.
So 432 has a lot to do with like manifestation, but focus is really what it does. It helps you focus, and that's why it supports manifestation. You can look up 432 hertz songs on Apple Music or Spotify, and they're usually like soundscapes, and the hertz vibration is sort of in the background, so it's not jarring to the ears. Um, and then I just to break down to give you like a short breakdown of how I meditate on this. I clear my mind. I try to keep my mind as clear as possible. With ADHD, it is very hard to do.
Yes.
So, quickly, I'm going to give you a 30-second breakdown of how I manifest. And you can participate if you want, Rachel, because it
Mhm.
doesn't all I do is breathe deeply to a count of 6 seconds in. I hold it for 7 seconds. I hold my breath for 7 seconds. And then I exhale for 8 seconds. And while I do that, I think about what the inside of my nose smells like
Mm.
because you can only focus on that. And then once I get bored of the inside of my nose, I think about the tingling on the tips of my fingers. And then I think about the tingling on my toes and how I can feel the connection of the floor to the tips of my toes and how it can tingle. And then I think about how I can taste my saliva on the inside of my teeth. I focus and I think about how I can see all of the details in my peripheral.
Mhm.
While I'm focusing on all of those bodily things, I'm picturing me
Mhm.
in my goal state. So I meditate I do that for 5 to 10 minutes. You don't need to do it a long time. Meditation is a practice. And
Yeah.
you can look up different ways how to meditate with ADHD. And what I just said are those same like details.
Mm-hmm.
I visualize the path is already laid out before me because again, it's believing that what you desire is already yours.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that manifestation, you have a hard time with it because you're like, I worked for this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would argue that you decided you were going to do it,
Mm-hmm.
took necessary steps, but you didn't plan that path.
No, I wouldn't say I'm going to have this exact job. Like I had a floor plan of this apartment
Mhm.
complex, but it's a different floor plan. But I'm like, it's more affordable. It's bigger. Maybe I wasn't thinking big enough of what was
Yeah.
available.
What
Yeah.
you manifested was the complex that you live in because you had the floor plan. The floor plan had the complex name on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You manifested getting a job that had the 401k, you're paid really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did the steps that worked towards it, but those steps led you to meeting the person who led you to help getting that opportunity.
Yeah.
If you didn't decide all those years ago that you were going to have a job in tech and you were going to live in that apartment and you were going to be financially free, you wouldn't have gone down that path. That path wouldn't have been laid out for you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be where you are. You'd be
I knew what
somewhere else.
I knew what I wanted, but I also know myself where it's like it cannot be down to the I like to picture like my future self, like what is she wearing? Like how would she handle
Perfect.
this better situation? Kind of like what to me it's like what does she look like and how does she walk into a room? Like how does she, kind of thing. So it's like, but it's like I knew I wanted a job in tech that like I got paid vacations and things like that. So it was more of like I couldn't put when I say too much detail, I mean it's like if that I don't want people to feel like disappointed because it's
No,
like life goes in a different direction, but it's like I had enough leave. Like I see the path in front of me. Is it fuzzy out in the way future path? Yes, but is it crisp where I need it to be? Sure, but that also I feel leaves it like open to like go down different avenues that could work for you, you
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
So it's like, oh, I didn't get a job at Google. It's like, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a failure. Like, it's like, oh, you have this other like job for this great contract or whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, like great, awesome. So it's just
Yeah.
like if people are in their like visualization practice, it's like have room for maneuverability, for
Yeah.
flexibility.
So
That just
what
because
I
I didn't get that first apartment floor plan
right,
doesn't mean I'm a failure. Like,
it doesn't.
like
I
like,
think you got a better floor plan.
I'm sure it did.
This is
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And
It,
I think I want to like really impress like you need to focus on how you are going to feel getting what you're trying to manifest, who you are going to be, and what you're going to do with that. So, like when I manifested traveling,
mm-hmm.
I didn't manifest where I was going.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't do that. I
Mm-hmm.
knew I wanted to travel. I already knew I was going to go to England. I already knew I was going to go to Norway, but I knew I wanted to go see more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know how I was going to do it.
Yeah.
So instead of picturing the places, I pictured instead going to my local airport, like my local international airport, which is Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
I pictured walking into the airport with my suitcases. I pictured checking into my flight and like being all excited to go somewhere. I'm going somewhere international.
Mm-hmm.
I pictured going through PSA and people like checking my passport instead of my ID and
Mm-hmm.
photo. I the big thing that I did that's different from anything that I've done prior, like learning how to manifest, is that I pictured becoming the person in my meditation, in my manifestation. So as I'm arriving to Richmond Airport and checking in and going through the gate and going through security, I picture walking into the restroom and looking into the mirror, putting my hand up to the mirror, and then becoming that person and walking out and getting on the plane.
It's like you're almost thinking about a future memory you will have.
And
then
is,
you're like,
oh my God, I just got chills.
And then I'm gonna go and like meet her and like high five her in that mirror. And so when you get to create this memory that doesn't exist yet, and then you do, and you're like, I am now in it.
That part. That is exactly right. You got that shit down. You got that shit down because I know that I know in your head, you knew exactly what it was going to be like to be where you are right now.
Yeah, I pictured myself with these luscious locks. I was like, how does future me look? This is it. Like
future me goes and gets her hair done every 2 weeks. Future me goes and gets her lashes done every 2 weeks. Future me makes sure that her nails done, her pedi is done. Future me has been to several, you know what I'm saying? Like you knew exactly where you wanted to go. You knew you were going to get there.
Yeah.
You did not know how that path was, but you knew where it was. And you just were like, all right, these are the steps I got to go do. I'm not really worried about it. I'll get there eventually. That last part is key. It's key. You have, once you have done your, I call it a ritual, but really it's just praying. It's really just, it is what it is. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. You can call it magic if you want, because really I feel like we are magic in general.
Yeah.
But the key part is once you have satisfied the imagery in your head that you know how it's going to feel, you know where you want to go, you know who you're going to be, you know all of those details. The last part is that you have to let it go.
What do you mean let it go?
You have to not be stressed about when you're going to get there or how you're going to get there. You cannot force it. You have to know it is already yours and have faith, which is what all of the religions preach, that that the path is laid out and you will get there.
Yeah. When you say let it go, it was almost like, oh, that doesn't quite feel right or whatever. But to me, it would be like, don't stop picturing it. It can always
don't stop. Yeah.
Differentiate. But
no, it's coming.
Like, I had such a deep desire. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to live independently. But it was just like, but I saw it over there. And now I remember going back to one of our very first podcasts, it was just like, ooh, oh, I got it. But now I need bigger dreams. Now what's next?
Now what's next? Now that I've done this, now that I have figured out that I have the ability to do this, what can be next? And really anything.
Yeah. Because
it might take you years. Like look at our past podcast, Diana Nyad. That girl knew that she was going to swim between Cuba and America. She didn't know when, but she knew she was Florida. Yeah, she knew she was going to do it.
Yeah.
But she didn't know when.
Yeah. And her first attempt was when she was like 28. So, and she did it when she was finally like 60.
Yeah, 60 in her 60s. So that is the exact, like your timeline is not set. And just because it's taking a few years doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Keep going through those motions. You see that opportunity lay itself out, which it's going to, and sometimes the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, gives you roadblocks this is like the big thing. Sometimes it gives you roadblocks to make you give up and stay in your past vibration. You're trying to raise and get to a different vibration. You're going to get roadblocks and challenges before you get to it every single time. you're going to have roadblocks and challenges.
I don't know how many times in my life it's just like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do this anymore. And it's like, are you sure? Do you mean it? Something
Exactly.
always comes up. The same thing that I say, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I've left that behind. It's like, just checking. Are you sure?
You sure? It's
And then,
fun.
yes, yeah,
You sure
it's
you
just
want to
like,
leave it behind because it's so fun?
it's so comforting.
Yeah, comfort.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
leveling up does feel very uncomfortable. So I just looping back to like thinking about it where it doesn't feel uncomfortable anymore and staying put feels too uncomfortable
Right.
because you're like,
Right.
I'm identifying less and less and less with that lesser
Yeah.
version of myself that I don't want to be anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would just kind of
I
say.
feel like my most recent manifestation, the traveling thing, is considered quantum manifestation. There are differences.
Hmm.
Okay. So manifestation, you can do like this. This is very broad. You can do this in your everyday life. Quantum manifestation is taking it to another level. I highly suggest practicing manifestation until you are comfortable enough to quantum leap manifestation. This is an entirely different ball game. That's what I did with my travel. So when I reached out and touched myself in the mirror and became that person, not even two weeks, I was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
I did the same exact thing when I moved 3,000 miles across the country with where I was going, where I was going to live, all of that.
Hmm.
I knew I was going to leave. I knew I was going to go across the country. I pictured myself in the city that I lived in. I pictured myself in a Victorian house in
Hmm.
general. And then I knew I was going to live in the walkable part of town. I knew I wasn't going to live outside of town. Like I
Hmm.
was going to in the city center. Um Pictured myself there, reached out, touched myself in the mirror, and I swear to God, I called this house, the people managing this house
Hmm.
the next day. And I was like, I'm trying to move there. I'm interested in this house. And she was like, oh, we have this other one that's closer to town. And I was like, do you? She was like, yeah, do you want to go on a video tour tomorrow? So I was like, absolutely. And this is literally maybe 48 hours after I had decided to leave,
Hmm.
after I decided I was leaving Arizona. She gave me the tour. It's literally perfect. It's 1 block from city center. I can walk everywhere I want to. I don't even need a car in this town. I can get a little one of those little, I can get a go-kart if I really wanted to and go everywhere.
Hmm.
Um, she gave me the tour. She was like, yeah, you called 30 minutes after I posted that. And I was manifesting the night before. I was doing everything. This is what I wanted. This is where I'm going to live. This is the kind of house I'm going to live at. This is the kind of schedule I'm going to have. All of that. The next day, at down to the town, I knew exactly where I wanted to go. The next day, the house is available, the apartments, and just FYI, it is impossible to get an apartment in this town. Impossible.
Hmm.
It People are on our little cute little town chat.
Hmm.
It is so hard to move here. People are like, I'm looking for a 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, whatever.
Hmm.
Do you guys know of any place? And there isn't any.
Now that you're talking about that, I always, it's like bringing up stuff of like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. Like, I wanted to live alone, like independently for so long. And I'm not a spreadsheet person, but I had a Google Doc, Excel spreadsheet with all the apartments that I wanted in town and then the prices of the 1 bedroom and even the 2 bedroom of what was available. And I would, we hyperfixate. So every couple months I'd go in there. But for like 4 years, I have. And then now that inflation's going up, I'm like, I know where it used to come from, but I knew what a good apartment price was. So then when
Mhm.
my roommate at the time was like, oh, my girlfriend's moving in, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to live with a couple. So I'm going to I'm at a place where I can move out. Thank you for. And then I think there's these things that like in life that just like push you, because
Yes.
we had decided, okay, we are going to go and sign another lease. And I was like, okay, it's another year that I'm away from my like ultimate goal, but it makes financial sense to live with this person. It's going well. But then I was like,
Yep.
three's a crowd. I don't want to live with a couple. So I was like, I'll move out. So it just like pushed me into it. And I was like, I have the spreadsheet and I have all the figures. And there is this one apartment in this complex because I could wait till the end of our lease, a couple, 3, 4 months later,
Yep.
and then move.
Mhm.
Or I can move in this complex within the confines of my lease. Cause it's like, okay, yeah, you're just still on property. You can move at any time because that other apartment's still leased. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was such a great, and I was like, I knew it was a great deal, but I kind of
Mhm.
almost second guessed myself to be like, am I hyper fixating on it or is it a really good deal and I have to jump right away?
It
I
was because didn't they raise the price after you signed the lease?
They did. And there was a guy in that I went in that afternoon, but there was a guy right before me who had viewed the same apartment. But I was like, I went and downloaded all of my pay stubs I had, all my bank statements. Like I had everything put in within an hour. And I
Yeah.
snatched this apartment up right under him because he was still talking in the parking lot.
Yep.
And so by the time he's like, oh, I sent my stuff, it's like, it's already been leased out from under you by me because I jumped on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, but that's the thing. I was like, I was ready to go when the
Mhm.
opportunity presented itself. And it's like, oh, it's here. To me, I was kind of like, I've done everything that I can. If it's not meant for me, it's not meant for me. But I also live in a life where it's like this or better, this or better. So it's like, that's what I want. And I will accept that or better. I will not go down or lesser or backwards or anything ever,
Yeah.
kind of like that. But also, there's another situation because I remember moving into this apartment like day one. And from my divorce, like living with my sister in her basement, having a roommate, I always felt like I wasn't quite good enough romantically
Yeah.
because I was like, who would want me? I'm totally broke and I live in my sister's basement and my life is a fucking wreck. Like, I could see that it was holding me back in relationships. And because I was like, I didn't feel quite worthy of the people that I was dating. So it's like, I was like, yeah, I'm good enough to be here. And you don't really feel like it. So it's like,
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, I live kind of independently. I have a roommate. A lot of people do that. But I remember telling my sister, like day one when I moved in, we were putting furniture together. And I said, I am now available for long term love.
Yeah. And here you
And
are.
like, here I am. And like, I asked someone out not too shortly thereafter, and it's going pretty well,
It's
you know,
going pretty dang
pretty
good.
dang well.
And like, listen, manifestation works like that. Like, if you're not moving towards it and you're already aligned, you're
Mhm.
going to get pushed.
I had finally become in alignment with the person that I wanted to be, that I was like,
Yeah. Because it wasn't
those
that
insecurities
totally.
aren't there anymore. It's like, okay, now like I did everything else. I was like, now I am ready. And it was like, here are your blessings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like, so here's the thing, you had been working on this for a long time. I feel like the same thing happened to me with moving to this town
Mhm.
because I have been picturing living in this town, and that's it. Just picturing living in this town for the last 14 years.
Mm.
14 years I've wanted to live here.
Yeah.
I look around every single day and have a little glimmer. Now, a glimmer is like the opposite of like a neg, right? Like
Mm.
you're like whenever you notice something like, oh, well, fuck. Of course. The opposite of that is a glimmer when you notice like something magical happening in your life.
Or maybe
And
like for me, a glimmer would be like how the idea just pops inside your mind and you're like, where did that come from?
that's inspiration.
Oh, okay. Okay. Forget. Let's go back to the glimmers and we can hit up the inspiration.
That is
Jumping ahead.
inspiration, totally inspired, given to you by spirit. Inspiration.
Okay.
That's a whole other conversation. We will get into it. It is an hour long when you talk to me about inspiration and spirit. But sometimes the point being, sometimes your manifestations can take years.
Yes. Yeah, I will
Like,
say you're right. You're
it can
right.
take years,
Because
but
you
you have to like be in the present, in the present, in the moment, the minute it happens, and it's happening. Acknowledge it and be grateful. Like, I fucking knew I could do that shit
yeah, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me,
for me.
and that's the thing, because if I was still in my previous living situation with a roommate and another person and like his girlfriend, it's like I couldn't have as healthy a relationship that I am in now. We wouldn't have the privacy
No,
we would need. Like it wouldn't be, I mean, like three's a crowd, four people in that apartment. Like I know that I could not have as amazing of a relationship as I do right now in my previous living situation, just because there's not a lot of space for all those people, you know? So it's just like, but when I was ready for it, I got it.
and I think, honestly, I think for you, the gut feeling to just go was such good timing, because you realized some really important facts about that situation, where if you hadn't taken that step and taken that opportunity to just book it,
Mm-hmm.
you'd be in the worst, probably, mental state, to be honest, because it would be mentally taxing and
Mm-hmm.
exhausting to have stayed
Yeah.
in that situation. So I just love how, like, the universe is like, oh, life pivot, get over there. That's actually where you said you wanted to be 6 years ago, or however long.
Yeah.
You
And
needed to go over here. Get the fuck over here. We gave you a spot.
and the fact that I was like, one, I had that spreadsheet of all the apartment prices in town to know what was a good deal.
Yep.
And because I was on the website so frequently to be like, what is available? What could be? Well,
Yeah.
okay, I snatched up this beautiful apartment before it could go to somebody else. I was like, yeah, like
Mhm.
it was like I was ready for it because I woke up that day to be like, okay, I'm just gonna live here for another 3, 4 months, and this is just the way it is now with this like a changing dynamic in our living space. And then it was like by the end of that day, I was like, everything's in, and I'm just waiting for the approval. I was like, so much can change in a day, you know. But
So
it's like
much can
I
change in
knew
24 hours.
it was like I knew this is such a great apartment price that I was like, when the rent goes up next year, like it's still so good. I was like, what's wrong with this apartment? Nothing. It was just like we just wanted to get it rented very quickly. I was like, I was on that website and I knew. And
Yep.
I knew and I knew it was going to be a good thing. And I was like, I'm not going to let this, if it's not for me, if the other person gets it in front of me, that's one thing. But I'm going to do everything in my power to make this happen because I know I had done my homework, I had done my research. You gotta jump when the opportunity presents itself to do so.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I had been looking, like, quite regularly, to be honest, at houses and apartments to move here, to move to this town. At one point I was going to buy a house here, like, a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
And I ended up not buying it, because I was in this toxic relationship. But, like, leaving it really was it was a life pivot. Like, we talk about them all the time. It really made me, like, decide, like, okay, I'm going now. Now I'm going to go. I have nothing else to lose.
Hmm.
Both of my children are in the East Coast. I know that there's going to be a house for me. Next day,
Hmm.
look up apartments. There's, like, maybe, Rachel, I'm not even joking, maybe 3 apartments total
Yeah.
in the town
Hmm.
available, right? And, like, I'm so lucky because I have a job that, like, I work from home, and, like, it pays me great, and I can afford living here. Like, it's not an expensive place to live. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So I knew, I don't know what it was, but, like, I knew there was going to be something for me. I just needed to reach out. And the fact that it was posted 30 minutes before I called, it almost was like, post this for Jackie so she knows she's it's time to come here. And then immediately I went through that FaceTime tour, and I was like, I'm Venmoing you my deposit right now. I'm on my way.
Hmm.
Say less. Rachel, I've never been so happy in my life than I am when I am walking around my cute ass town and just saying, like, the glimmer we were just talking about. I'm
Mhm.
like, I can't fucking believe I live here. I can't. I look around all the time. I'm like, I live here. I
Yeah.
live here. Finally, I've wanted to live here for 14 years. 14 years. It's a town that is 25,000 people.
Mhm.
The only reason I know about it is because my sister went to school here at a very small university. Nobody knows about this town. People are surprised when they're like, how did one of the questions when I tell people, like, I recently moved here a year ago and I am not from the East Coast at all, they always are like, how do you know about it then?
Yeah.
How could you possibly know about this town? Right?
Yeah.
It's the school. So, because my little sister went to this school,
Mhm.
and every subsequent event that has happened since I dropped her off freshman year and decided one day I dropped her off freshman year, Rachel, and I looked around and I was like, I'm going to live here one day. And I said it very casually and like off the cuff. But
Mhm.
when I said it, I definitely pictured what it would be like to live in this town. It's like a storybook.
Yeah.
And I came every summer while she was in school here. And like to be able to live here. So I'm telling you, I drive around and I'm like, I live here. I'm so lucky and I'm so happy and I'm so grateful. And I say it out loud
Mhm.
to myself. And like that is genuinely the final step of it. That makes you even more powerful. So you have to you have to picture exactly what you want.
Mhm.
You have to focus on it. You have to be intentional about exactly what you want. You have
Mhm.
to know that the universe is, or God or Allah, whatever it is you believe in, PC
Mhm.
people, you have to know that the path is going to be laid out for you for what you want. You have to know it in your gut. I don't have to worry about anything because it's there. And then you have to let it happen.
I love this because whether it's like, just when you're like, oh, I need to call on this apartment, and you're like, this went 30 minutes up early. Like when I talk about like what does future Rachel look like? Like I was like, oh, she's got a little pug. And I was like, so I went on the dog like website and I wanted a little black pug girl. And they never have a black breeding pair. And
Here's
they
the thing. I
finally did.
actually love that you named it before you named the dog
Hmm.
before you found
Hmm.
the all black pug. You named it.
She does have a name before she's even
You
like a
already know you want a
glimmer.
girl.
Hmm. And I go on these websites and they have fawn pugs. And obviously I have fawn pugs, but I was like, I want a little black pug girl.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, we have a breeding black pair. Plus the litter was open for reservations,
Shit.
which I was just like, I remember being polo on you and like, should I do it? Because I feel like everything is like the uncomfortableness of like I could be getting everything that I ever pictured, or like I'm stepping into that manifestation. Always to me, what I identified as is like, is this ADHD hyperfixation? Or is am I staying little and not stepping into the life that I want? You know? And everyone
Yeah.
was like, go put your deposit on, go get your girl, go put your deposit
Go
on
get her.
your dog. And
My niece.
now her birthday is middle of June. So later this summer, I'm gonna get myself a puppy. So the puppy that I always wanted to have, like literally the life I always wanted. I always said I wanted a blue velvet button tufted couch. And I have one, like
I always said I wanted a purple velvet couch, and now I have one. Oh, another thing I manifested,
mhm.
my cat.
Yeah.
My cat. I manifested the fuck out of Go-Go. I said not even 24 hours before finding this cat.
Mhm.
I sent a Marco Polo to one of my other friends and I said, you know what I'm really ready for? I'm really ready for the cat distribution system to choose me. I want a cat. I want a boy cat. I want to name him Gomez. I want the cat to be obsessed with me. I want him to sit on my shoulder. I
Mhm.
want him to play fetch. If this cat doesn't do every single one of those things,
The universe is listening. And I think the takeaway for me here is to say, like, speak it. When they say speak it into like
Existence.
existence, like say it out loud. Like when I was
Say
like,
it
I
out
want to
loud what you
say
want, what you want to be. Say it out loud.
say it out loud. So it's like one, the people around you understand and they know how to support you when other opportunities come your way. So like speak it out loud, but also like I always say like, oh, I never put it down. I never got a chance to be Dusty in my mind. Like who I am now in this moment, she was always not in the background, but I never put it down in my mind. So this life never got a chance to be Dusty. Like I couldn't think I couldn't have it. And I always live my life in the way of why not you? Someone has to have it. Someone has to get that job listing. Like, why not you?
Yeah.
I live my life very much in a why not me. So when
Yeah.
you're doing these manifestation things, you have the apartment picture on your bulletin board, like you have these things that you're doing. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I was just doing them. I just didn't know, you
You
know.
didn't know. Yes.
But yeah, but I
I
got these like
I think it
inspiration thoughts, and I was like, oh, let me see. And then it just happens that that's what's gonna fall in, you know.
I think it's important to that mindset. I think it's super important to have.
Mm-hmm.
Super
Yeah.
important to have. Why not? Why
Why not
not?
me? Mm-hmm.
Because it gets rid of the doubt. And the
Yeah.
last step of
I'm worthy of
manifesting
it. Mm-hmm.
is knowing that that path is about to be laid out for you to get where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. There are going to be obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
The universe is going to try to bring you back to your old energy,
Yeah.
your old vibration.
And
Don't let it do that. Like that's the biggest thing. You don't let don't let yourself be pulled back into the old energy, the old vibration that you're in. You're already in the new vibration. Reject it
mm-hmm.
and move forward, because that new you, the person that you're trying to be, the person that's you've written down in your journal, the person you're picturing, they're literally waiting for you. If
Yeah.
I'm not an example of how manifestation works, I don't know what the fuck I am, because I
I
literally am manifesting my life.
You've changed my mind. I'm like, I absolutely made the
You absolutely
manifestation.
did. And you did the work to make sure that that manifestation came true. So it actually might be both for you, Rachel. Like, yes, you did do a lot of really hard work to get to where you are. But while you did that work to get to where you are, the universe laid out that path because you were doing the work, because you were already in that vibration.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the work because you were already her. Now you have met her. Now it's time for the bigger goal. Now it's like, what is Rachel who swam the Rock of Gibraltar,
Mm-hmm.
the Strait of Gibraltar?
Yeah.
What does she look like? What does Rachel, after swimming the Strait of Gibraltar, look like in a coffee shop in Paris?
Because you know
How, how does
I'm
that Rachel feel?
describing that to you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
How does that Rachel feel in in the coffee shop in Paris after you've already swam the Strait of Gibraltar
Yeah.
with her girlfriends? How does that Rachel feel? Are we drinking champagne? Are we having macaroons? Are we like, you know what I'm saying? Are we having a picnic under the fucking, you know what I'm like? We
Yeah.
can do anything.
Yeah.
We
And
that's
after this past swim where I could hardly lift my arms out of the water after that 6 month swim, I'm like, how do I want to feel after how does she train so she can just have a banging vacation afterwards and not be in pain?
right,
You know,
right.
how does she want to feel when she gets out of the water?
How much ibuprofen should I bring?
All of it.
All of it that
All
has
of it.
ever been made.
Yeah. Oh, Jackie, I feel very inspired coming out of this podcast. So thank you so much, because it's more of like sometimes the way I work with things is like it feels very jumbled in my mind, but like if I'm like, oh, I'm having a hard time like articulating something like an emotion or something, but like once you name it, then you're like, okay, you're like, oh, got it.
We have talked about
Done.
that
Mm-hmm.
so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Once you name it,
Mm-hmm.
once you name it, it gives it power. We have talked about that on so many occasions. I'm actually just remembering that we've talked about once you name it, at least in the last 4 podcasts, in the last 4 episodes, because I'm the one who runs our social media. So I'm like cutting all of our different scenes and stuff to put on social media. And I've heard, and I think that's so important. Like, you have to name it, you have to speak it into existence. Name it.
Yeah.
Feel who you are. Name that person. So important. So important.
Absolutely. Oh, I see you shuffling those cards. We are wrapping up the whiskey bent portion and on to the spellbound portion with Jackie's 3-card tarot reading. Are you ready, Jacqueline? I feel like it's going to be spirits. Spirits are going to talk to us today.
I haven't read it in such a long time. I read for myself like on the full moon. This last full moon, and it was really interesting. It set me on I feel like on a different path.
Ooh,
my own personal life, which we'll talk more about on Patreon. But I feel like my takeaway for this, like, I just want everybody to know that manifestation is absolutely a real thing that you can do your own yourself, and you're probably already doing it. It's just about like practice, just meditate, manifest. You literally have it in you. You have it.
I like that I was already doing it. I just hadn't named it.
Everybody really is.
Yeah.
Everybody is doing it.
And going back,
you got to recognize it
real quick, because you touched on like kind of coming out of the church and stuff. Like, what is this big cliche we always hear? God helps those who help themselves.
Okay.
That literally
because you literally have to work. You have to do the steps so that the universe will lay the path to where you're trying to go.
Yeah. So it's a lot of similar things.
It's very similar, because all gods, like, listen, if you guys want to get really, if we want to go down that rabbit hole, Jackie believes all of the gods are real. All of them. Jesus, the Lord, Allah, anything human beings give energy to, vibrations towards, we project them. I think those things are real. Every single god, every single one throughout history is a real being, because human beings have given their energy to it. So we can't discount Christianity, because that God is real. Jesus is real. Like, it's all real, but it's all intertwined.
Yeah. We're not discounting anything here, so not to get anyone upset or anything.
We're connecting it.
Yes.
You're really connecting it. You're not discounting, you're connecting it. You're giving it more validation, because it is real. Prayer's real.
Yeah.
It is. It's manifestation.
I love it so. I love it so much. I feel very inspired from this podcast. Like,
go forth and manifest.
Yes.
Manifest your next special Starbucks treat.
I love it so much.
All right.
Okay, you ready? Knock 3 times. Here we go. Here's the reading. 1 card, 2 card, 3 card.
And one popped out while we were talking.
Ooh, and we got a bonus card today. Okay,
we do have a bonus card today. And first of all, the first one is one we've had before. So the first one is the Fool.
Okay.
This
keeps coming up for us.
He comes up a lot, right? It's just about the unknown.
Yeah.
The call of the unknown. You got to step into it. Step into something you're not comfortable with. It's the call of the unknown. Has a lot to do with frailty. Just pack your shit and go on the journey. The goddamn path is laid out for you.
Yeah.
Pack your shit and go on the journey.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay. Second one. That's really interesting. One day I'm going to have all of these memorized and it won't be so hard.
Just visualizer. You're already there.
She's like 20 years in the future, I feel
It's
like. But yeah,
okay.
she
Yeah.
is already there. And
Mhm.
she's already connected to spirit, which I think is super important.
Yeah.
Um, so this is the devils. This has to do with like seeking pleasure, domination, addiction. This is the opposite though,
Mhm. Mhm. Because it's
right?
upside
So
down. Yeah.
yeah, so it's upside down. So if we're not valuing the flesh, if we're not addicted, I feel like we're being very cautious.
Mhm.
It's not like giving in. It's not like giving in to the easy route. It's not,
It's
that's what
staying
I
strong.
feel.
Yeah,
It's
because it's
like
like
staying strong. Like it's not, you don't have to give in to like the easy. You feel that God, you feel that obstacle. That's what's easy. You feel
mhm.
that obstacle, don't give in to it.
Yeah,
Don't give
staying
in. Don't
put.
stay. Yeah. Is
Mhm.
harder is staying put is the easy route.
Yeah.
Being steadfast in exactly what you want is more difficult. So that's right side. It has a lot to do with like just giving in
Mhm.
to worldly passions, addiction, things like that. But upside down is the opposite. So I think that we're right there when
Yeah.
it comes to like being steadfast in our like pursuits and like the path that we.
And knowing yourself and like who you are and what you're made of to say, no, like I can do it. It
Yeah, I'm strong enough for this.
yeah.
This is it might be a challenge, but it is something that I know I can do.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. And then the last one is the King of Wands.
King of Wands.
And that has is a king, right? So it's like he's a leader. He's like, I follow me. But the main word that is sticking out to me is activation, actually, in the
Ooh.
explanation. Yeah. That word like really jumped out. And I think that that's really what this card means. It's like you don't know where you're going, and there are going to be really difficult obstacles,
Mhm.
but like get it's this way, get there, go there, follow that path, don't fall into those obstacles, because you once you get there, it's going to be like an activation. You're going to know like you have activated your power.
The
When I first started manifesting, I didn't feel as powerful as I do now, because I have seen the evidence of my ability. So now I feel like my power is activated. And if you just practice small manifestations and you understand how powerful you are, you're going to feel that exact activation. Like, I can do this. I like, you see how steadfast he is. He's like
yeah.
holding the wand, and he's like,
Mhm.
I got this.
Yeah, like to the belief in yourself when perhaps maybe other people won't. And they'll call you a fool, but you're like, "No.
Right.
Why can't I have this amazing job? Why can't I have this amazing apartment? Why can't I have this amazing love? Why not me?"
Why?
We're literally stepping into the lives we've always pictured for ourselves. And it's like, yeah, it's happening. Like, why not me? You
Why
know?
not me?
But if I never pictured it, I wouldn't know that I'm like in it, you know? That makes sense.
It does make sense. And you're going to lose it for this last card.
Oh my God, I forgot the last card. Okay, last card. Okay, okay. She looks amazing.
So she looks powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't she look like she's like in charge?
Yes.
Yeah, no. This is the world card.
Mhm.
And it's about achieving your goals. It's about completion and the culmination of evolution and transformation, but also having to carry burden in that transformation, which we all feel.
Yeah.
Um, it just says this journey leaves no soul unchanged.
God damn.
God damn.
That's great.
God damn. That is great. Like after
Mhm.
that reading, and then we're gonna pull the
World
world, like
card.
literally you're gonna have it all. You're gonna have it all. You're not gonna know how you're going to get there. Pack your shit, get on the road. Do not worry about the obstacles, because once you get there, you're going to be in fucking charge and you're going to accomplish everything that you want. The world is your on your platter. What do you want?
Right.
What do you want?
Anything you want?
Go get it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I feel powerful. Oh,
That was powerful as fuck. I love that
it
last part. It
is.
felt like just a
Yes.
acknowledgement from spirit. Like, we know.
We know.
We know, telling the people they need to listen.
That's why we had to have the second round of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And
I really think so.
And speaking of second rounds of shows, please join us over on our Patreon. Links are in the show notes below. If this is on YouTube, it'll be the first pinned comment. But we are going to carry this conversation over on our Patreon. Please join us there. It's $3.95 a month plus tax, and you get early access shows and extra behind the scenes content. Today, we are talking over on Patreon the Bumble billboard disaster.
I fucking hate Bumble. I have so many fucking opinions. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, we will see you over there in just a second. Thank you, Jackie, for another fabulous and fantastic episode of Whiskey Bent and
Spellbound with Black
Whitefield. Love you.
Bye.